Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Dawn of the Dead, originally released in 1978, 10 years after Night of the Living Dead. Whereas Night showcased the beginning of the zombie problem, Dawn shows it becoming more widespread. Appropriately, the scope of the film is much larger than its predecessor. No longer confined to a single farmhouse, Dawn zooms out to show us how various institutions react to the new reality, before narrowing back down to follow a group of 4 survivors as they hole up in a shopping mall and make the place their home. Night of the Living Dead was revolutionary, but Dawn of the Dead is nearly just as important, and also my personal favorite zombie movie. Might even be in my top 10 horror films of all time. It's an awesome mix of action, gore, comedy, and satire, all put together by a group of horror movie legends. Firstly, George A. Romero, who once again wrote, directed, and edited the film. After a decade away from zombies, during which he extended his talents to rom-coms, sci-fi horror, and vampires, among other films, Romero's return solidified him as the grandfather of the undead. When Romero and producer Richard P. Rubenstein were unable to find American investors for the project, the next big name stepped in, Dario Argento, the Italian giallo filmmaker who was just coming off of Suspiria, one of my favorites. He secured financing and put Romero up in Rome for 3.5 weeks as he wrote the screenplay. He also did sound design and provided music, with his longtime collaborators Goblin, miscredited here as The Goblins. Finally, Tom Savini created the special effects. Dawn was only his second film after Romero's Martin. Romero had originally wanted him to do effects for Night, but Savini had to serve in Vietnam instead. With Dawn, he showcased the intensity of his work, which caused the film to be released unrated and put Savini on the map. Dawn was what got him Friday the 13th 2 years later. His effects also make this movie an issue for YouTube, which is why today's episode is sponsored. You might not be headed to a shopping mall soon, but you still need a way to carry cards and cash. May I suggest Ridge Wallet? These durable modern wallets help you cut out the clutter and keep your pockets light. That way you can still move fast in case of a zombie outbreak. I love that my titanium Ridge Wallet can hold up to a dozen cards, and that it keeps them all secure with RFID blocking tech. That prevents digital pickpocketers, which is apparently a thing in this scary world we live in. The wallets are available in over 30 colors and styles, and you can try one risk-free. If you don't like it, send it back within 45 days for a full refund. Go to ridge.com/deadmeatjames and get a Ridge Wallet for 10% off by using the coupon code DeadMeatJames. They make for a great Father's Day gift, so what are you waiting for? That's ridge.com/deadmeatjames, coupon code DeadMeatJames for 10% off a Ridge Wallet today. Final note for this one, as per usual, I'll be using the theatrical cut for the kill count, but Dawn of the Dead is one of those movies that wound up with a whole bunch of versions. The main alternates are an extended version with extra footage, an Italian cut put together by Argento, which was released under the title Zombie and uses more Goblin music, and an extended cut that combines footage from all 3. I'd love to do a cut comparison looking at them sometime, but y'all gotta watch those videos if you want more to happen. Here, I made a playlist to make it easier for you. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth, but honestly, I think Satan just got tired of counting them. Thankfully, I'm not a lazy asshole like that guy, so I'm happy to do my job and get to the kills. The movie begins on a shaggy red wall. Wake up now, little lady. It's time for a title card. It's been 3 weeks since the undead began rising to walk the earth, and things are chaotic everywhere, including at this broadcast station. The government is now telling people not to stay inside their homes, which is the movie's way of saying that the world of the first film is gone. At this point in the catastrophe, you can't just hole up in a farmhouse. Now it's all about emergency stations and emergency protocol, which includes destroying the brain of your deceased loved ones. Black interviewer Sidney Berman yells that he doesn't trust that advice, even though his guest Dr. Foster warns him of this threat's cyclical nature.
It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill.
I mentioned the host's race because this distrust towards authority by minority communities is one of the many themes this film comments on. Director George Romero, here in a cameo alongside his then-wife and assistant director Christine Forrest, may have stumbled into cultural commentary with Night of the Living Dead, but in Dawn, he decided to make his messages loud and clear.
I wanted to try to give it the same thematic core that the original film had and speak about some of my own ideas about society, and I don't think think it's an underlying message. I think it's like in your face.
TV producer Fran Parker, played by Galen Ross in her first acting gig, sees the writing on the wall when her boss says to keep advertising defunct rescue stations.
Without those rescue situations on screen, every minute people won't watch us. They'll tune out.
With things descending into all new levels of fuck it, Fran had better get out of here with her boyfriend Stephen Andrews, played by David MG, who weirdly enough was that Moonface guy in Basket Case 2. Stephen's a traffic report helicopter pilot, and he makes a plan with Fran to steal that whirlybird and fly away. Elsewhere in Philadelphia, a SWAT team prepares to raid a low-income housing project for refusing to hand over their dead. The inhabitants inside are black and Puerto Rican, and slur alert, this dude Wooly doesn't like that one bit.
Low-life bastards. Blow all their low-life little Puerto Rican and their asses right off.
Yeah, dude's a piece of shit. Officer Roger DeMarco tries to chat with someone who's not a walking hate crime, but rookie Roy Tucker is killed as soon as the rooftop shootout begins. A group of men who live there, one of them in brownface, tries to fend off the police, but are gunned down pretty quickly. 3 of them right away, and though Roger tries to save a 4th, the guy runs out to get shot and do a swanton off the roof. The cops use smoke grenades and begin to move in, and once again, Romero is incredible at portraying noisy, helpless chaos. Wooly goes pure evil and kills 2 innocent men, the second with a shot that blows apart his head. Jesus Christ. That disturbing kill was done so graphically to immediately set the tone.
We needed that kind of sucker punch, just to say that this is real horror.
Savini filled the rubber head with condoms and apple cores, then blew it up with a real shotgun. Classic Savini. Stephen tries to stop Wooly from more bloodshed, but it takes a mystery man from another unit to put him down by shooting him through the back. Good. Fuck that guy. And don't ask me to count that body back there. It's the dude whose head blew up, even though that doesn't make sense spatially. We get our first look at Dawn of the Dead zombie design, with their famous face paint that looks like pool cue chalk. Tom Savini, confronted with how to depict the zombies in color, tried to make their faces gray with simple pancake makeup.
Which was not a good idea. Sometimes it photographed green, sometimes it photographed blue, so I don't think anybody was ever really just gray.
Roger and his fellow officers are able to kill 2 of these zombies, but a 3rd one named Miguel makes it out to the hallway, where he kills a loved one who embraces him by eating at her skin. Zombie Miguel is then killed by other officers. A young cop just can't handle all this apocalypse, so he joins the count by shooting himself in the head off screen. Downstairs, Roger meets Officer Peter Washington, the guy who shot Wooly when he was being a mammoth problem. Peter's played by Ken Foray, a titan in more ways than one. Dude's a horror legend and kill count veteran, with 4 previous appearances under his massive belt. Also, he is so large, he makes Chelsea and I look like children. While Roger and Peter are bonding, a one-legged priest arrives to tell them he's given last rites to a stash of undead bodies in the back, so GLHF with that.
You are stronger than us, but soon I think they be stronger than you.
It's not easy for Roger and Peter to dispose of all these zombies by shooting them in the head one by one. Even though most of the killing is done off screen, I'll assume they finished the job, which is why I'm counting the full dozen shown in this group. I won't be counting the 2 bastard skellies though. They know what they did. As they finish up, we match cut to another dead body Stephen finds at the police dock, where he's about to take off in the helicopter. Turns out Roger is bros with Stephen and is part of the getaway plan. He's brought Peter along too, but don't worry Stephen, Pete's cool, as long as you don't love orange soda. They take off as skyscrapers go dark behind them and fly through the night. Hey, Steven, you can't nap up here. You're flying, man! They're flying west from Philly and are currently over the countryside.
We're still pretty close to Johnstown.
I love the Johnstown shout out since I went there every year growing up to visit my mom's family. A lot of mountains and an inclined plane. That was always fun to ride. Great sequence here of the rural populace being recruited to fight zombies by the actual Pennsylvania National Guard. They agreed to be in the movie with all of their equipment because everyone in Pittsburgh knew and liked George Romero.
It's funny how Pittsburghers, they just got behind everything.
The satirical tone of the film is established with a tongue-in-cheek country song.
I'm the man. I'm the man.
This manly montage gives us 12 zombie kills to count, as they're treated like sport by these gun enthusiasts.
I got him.
Missed.
I'll count the zombies we see getting shot at, even if we don't see them getting hit. And I'll also count the two near that car, even though they disappear by the time a guy blows it up. I'm guessing it was a budget and safety thing to not have anyone around that explosion, but obviously it was meant to be a double kill. Our heroes land their chopper for a quick refueling and to look for supplies. Naturally, zombies occur, and at this early juncture, Fran appears pretty Barbara-esque, not doing much to help Steven when he's wrestling with the undead. Galen Ross refused to scream during this scene though, cluing Romero in on how she wanted to portray the character.
Galen sort of woke me up to the idea that that's not necessarily the way it should go.
Steven saves himself by braining that zombie with a mallet, then gets up and full body tackles this other Zed while running away. I've always loved how ridiculous that looks. Another zombie accidentally kills himself with a haircut from the chopper blades. This infamous kill was done with a prosthetic that added 2 inches to the actor's head, which was then pulled away with fishing line as crew members pumped blood through tubes. The helicopter blades were animated in later. During this pit stop, Peter has his own traumatic experience when he's attacked by 2 zombie kids played by Tom Savini's niece and nephew. He shoots and kills the children, which has a visible effect on him. Ken Foray wasn't a big fan of doing it either.
Didn't enjoy that, shooting the kids.
Steven begins his character arc of masculine insecurity by missing all the shots he takes against zombies, and nearly shooting Peter in the process. Roger has to step in and kill the Zeds for him, including this bald one who would later be used in a lot of the movie's advertising. Peter is pissed about nearly getting shot, and his annoyance with Flyboy continues as they argue over where they can take this stolen bird.
Wake up, sucker. We're thieves and we're bad guys. That's exactly what we are. We gotta find our own way.
Their own way leads to a shopping mall, which is the setting that makes this movie an all-time classic. It's the ultimate fulfillment of zombie apocalypse daydreaming. It's got power due to a generator and supplies thanks to consumer culture. But it's also got a few zombies wandering around inside.
What are they doing? Why do they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory, what they used to do. This was an important place in their lives.
Gee, George, trying to tell us something? Romero came up with the idea for Dawn while touring this mall in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Opened in 1969, it was one of the earliest shopping centers in the country, and since this was before the mall craze of the 80s, Romero included a line for any unfamiliar viewers.
What the hell is it?
Looks like a shopping center, one of those big indoor malls.
Dawn's budget was about $1.5 million. Much bigger than Knight's, but still not huge. That normally wouldn't be enough to shoot inside a shopping mall, but Romero was friends with the mall's manager, who he had met during college at Carnegie Mellon. He allowed them to shoot around the mall's business hours, restricting them to overnight shoots from 11 p.m. to 7 in the morning. That's pretty short for a shooting day, but the small crew was enthusiastic thanks to Romero's collaborative leadership.
It's the our gang style of shooting. You know, let's make a film.
The renegades gun-butt their way through a roof window, gaining them entrance to a back room filled with supplies. It's separate from the shopping mall, with the only way in through a stairwell, so after barricading the only door, they're able to get some rest and eat Spam.
Don't knock it. It's got its own key.
Peter and Roger figure there's a lot more than Spam downstairs, so as Steven sleeps, they decide to explore. Peter leaves Fran with a gun to protect herself.
You'll probably hear some shooting. Just don't panic, okay?
Peter's so fucking cool. They head through hallways and boiler rooms and turn everything on to distract the zombies. Music, escalators, fountains, whatever throws them off their game, you know? The sequence gives us 3 background bodies to count, including one on the escalator, who I get real nervous watching. Fear and respect, people! It's in the mall that Romero adds a lot of humor to Dawn.
You can laugh, and you can have as much fun as you want with this, but remember, there's something else going on here.
The comedy not only comes from the zombie antics and elevator music, but also from the playful banter between Peter and Roger.
You game?
I need lighter fluid.
You got it.
Aw, they're so cute. They're also effective, killing 2 zombies as they unlock a door to get into JCPenney. There are no zombies in the stores themselves since they've been locked this whole time. So even though Roger loses his rifle when a zombie takes it away from him, the mission is worth it. They're now safe from zombies, as soon as Roger shoots this one that slid in through the door with them. Steven wakes up and, just needing to feel like a man, takes Fran's gun to go join in on the fun. Oh, Flyboy, the SWAT dudes don't need your help. They've already already stocked an entire wheelbarrow full of supplies and have figured out how to herd the zombies by luring them around with noise. Romero wanted these zombies to be individuals, so he told the background actors to come up with their own zombie styles.
He let us do what we wanted to do.
Production could only afford to pay zombie extras a single dollar, but locals kept showing up and working the long hours just so they could be part of Romero's latest film. On his solo mission, Steven finds a map and another gun he doesn't know how to shoot. This is proven in the boiler room when zombie Josh Holloway comes after him. Steven gets all rootin' tootin', his missed shots zipping and zapping as they ricochet. His one and only final shot kills the zombie, sparing Steven a boiler room death, and you don't want one of those. Just ask Fred. Steven pops out of the stairwell and nearly into the arms of a zombie. Thankfully, Peter, who just tossed a zombie over the banister, get fucked, is here to help him. Two zombies get gunned down as they run across the mall to reunite with Roger. They get safely inside the department store again, but an unusually stealthy zombie jumps out and tackles Roger to the ground. This attack was added while filming to explain a continuity error they caught with Roger's sweater, which is why, after he kills the zombie with a screwdriver stab in the ear, he leaves the sweater behind in the zombie's clutches. Once again, they herd the zombies around with distractions, but they can't control the movement of every Zed in the building. A Hare Krishna zombie, who saw Steven come out of the access door, has figured out how to open it and is slowly making his way to the back. The guys find themselves momentarily trapped until Steven tells them about an air duct system they can use.
I saw it on a map.
Way to step it up, Steven! They find access to the ducts in an elevator shaft and crawl through them as the Hare Krishna zombie finally reaches the stairwell. Despite Fran's best efforts, the zombie gets through to the back room and is about to have a Fran snack when the others get back just in time. Roger kills the memorable zombie by smashing its head with a gun butt. The attack leaves Fran traumatized for the night, and Steven lets the others know a further complication.
She's pregnant.
But Fran is not Barbara and refuses to be the group's den mother.
I want to have something to say about the plans. There's 4 of us, okay?
Jesus, Fran. Fair enough.
One of my favorite little things is how Peter treats Fran as an equal. He chatted with her casually on the chopper, gave her a gun when he and Roger went out, and now tells her that he'll show her how to use it later. Her partner Steven, conversely, gets pissy when she demands he leave a gun with her, as if he'd even be able to shoot anything with it.
I just might be able to figure out how to use it. I'm sorry, Steven.
I just love how real and complicated all these characters are. Since they've decided to stay at the mall for a while, they need to block the doors from zombies and other threats. As Steven flies overhead, Peter and Roger drive trucks from a nearby yard over to the mall. Roger successfully blocks one entrance, but while he's hot wiring a second truck for round 2, some zombies show up without him noticing, even though they're blaring the intro track from Demon Days. Dope. Roger is attacked by a lady zombie in plaid, played by Jeannie Jeffries, who was an assistant makeup artist and Tom Savini's girlfriend. Peter comes over and kills her with a headshot, which saves Roger and gives him some blood to wash his face with. Roger then gets a kill for himself by shooting another zombie in the head. This close call puts Roger on tilt.
We got this, man. We got this by the ass.
And Roger on tilt kinda sucks. He's now more reckless, intentionally hitting and or running over 4 zombies/dead bodies, all of which I'll count. He's able to block the second mall entrance, but spends too much time revenge shooting these 2 zombies to death. It nearly gets him bitten, except Fran saves him from the rooftop. Peter gives his friend a stern talking to, but it's too late. The next time they're back at the trucks, Roger is overwhelmed.
Roger! Roger, watch it! Damn!
That bite seals Roger's fate, with a calf chomp reinforcing that he's a future goner. Sorry about your future loss, Pete. Fran dresses Roger's wounds while Peter and Steven restock at a hunting store, which in real life wasn't part of the Monroeville Mall. This was filmed at a separate location, Pittsburgh's Firearms Unlimited. All other locations were actually in the mall, except the elevator shaft and the hideout apartment, which were both shot on a soundstage. I gotta imagine this gun store scene is what Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg were thinking about when they mentioned making Shaun of the Dead in a country without, well, this. The group then heads out on a mission to lock all the doors, during which they shoot and kill 9 more zombies. I count 3 from Roger in his little death wagon, 5 from Peter with his nice new shiny sniper rifle, including this lady who digs into Roger's calf. He shoots her from the hip. And the final kills from Steven, done as they drive away in a hot-wired Volkswagen Scirocco. They Blues Brothers around the mall, locking all the doors, which the zombies won't be able to overrun with those trucks parked so close.
We'll get it all locked off.
Then we're going on a hunt.
Peter begins that hunt in earnest with his sniper rifle, and sometime later, they've cleared the place out. But right now, I'll only count the additional 17 bodies we see in these overhead shots. Although the place is safe now, Roger's getting worse and worse. He's so delirious, he's asking Peter to sing Devo for him.
We whipped them. We whipped them good.
Aw, at least he humored him. To better their long-term prospects, they build a wall to hide the access door to the back. They also clean the place of all the dead Zeds, and look, it's impossible to know if I've counted these bodies before. So how about I just count the 27 I see in this overhead shot and call that good enough? We'll assume the bodies seen in close-ups as they load up the freezer are the same ones we already saw, alright? With their chores done, it's time for their allowance, courtesy of the mall's bank.
You never know.
I love the security cam joke here, though I wish they had used this still instead. Peter's got a way funnier expression in it. This kicks off a montage of hedonism, the 4 survivors living out their free money fantasies with all the ennui of a French filmmaker. I love the ideas this sequence provokes. How much of our lives do we live for ourselves versus how much do we do for other people? And is a life of pure pleasure even enjoyable if society has ceased to exist? As they muse these questions, Peter talks about his grandfather, who practiced voodoo in Trinidad and who always said these haunting words.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
This future tagline was written while a drunken Romero rushed to finish the script. It serves as a nod to the Caribbean origins of zombies and Romero himself, whose dad was Cuban. Roger grows more ghastly and asks Peter for a favor. Take care of him when he comes back, won't you, Peter? Peter?
Peter?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
This is the last time we see Roger alive, so I'll count his death now, as Peter promises to eventually do him in. That promise is called upon later, while Fran and Steven watch a broadcast that's so desperate and amateur, it looks like Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule. Funny camera work, but serious discussions at hand.
And since we haven't touched upon our nuclear resources, why don't we drop bombs in all the big cities?
As that scientist calls people dummies!
Dummies! Dummies!
Roger rises from beneath his sheets. He said he would try to fight it, but he's now a zombie, with actor Scott Reiniger covered in tissue paper makeup that took about 90 minutes for Savini to apply. Peter keeps up his end of the bargain and shoots his friend off screen. After they bury Roger in the mall court, their lives become much quieter. Months go by, evidenced by Fran's visibly pregnant state, but even after all this time, zombies are still trying to force their way in. Not sure why, it's not like there's anything to watch on TV anymore. While Fran is learning how to fly the chopper, something she insisted on doing just in case, the bird is spotted by some nearby bikers, one of whom is played by Tom Savini, who knows how to style a handlebar stash. They radio into the mall rats and Pete correctly pegs them as raiders, and that's a problem they're not going to be able to ignore.
We don't like people that don't share. You just fucked up real bad.
This call to arms signals the beginning of a war, and judging by the number of headlights they see, our heroes are severely outmatched. Peter suits up and gets serious, knowing the fun and games are over. The bikers are here, and they know how to kill. They blow one zombie up with a grenade and shoot 4 others in the head. The bikers break their way into the building, and I'm not sure when it happens in the movie, but at some point during production, a charge went off that accidentally destroyed the mall's windows.
And you can just tell they're saying, how much is this gonna cost us?
Big whoops. Their breaching of the barriers lets the undead inside, leading to the one line in Romero's original trilogy where the word zombies is said.
Listen, with those bay doors open, there's gonna be 1,000 zombies in here.
The biker sequence is a return to the utter chaos of the movie's early scenes, as members of the real biker gang, the Pagans, drive around the mall amidst 500 zombie extras.
For these guys to ride their bikes through a shopping mall must have been a charge.
This insanity was filmed over the course of 2 nights with a loose lighting style from cinematographer Mike Gornick. It was the only way they could get all the shots they needed.
You had to, spend 2 hours lighting every setup. It would have been absolutely impossible.
Savini compared the experience to his time in Vietnam as a combat photographer. Don't take that the wrong way, though. He also called making this movie a months-long Halloween.
Life was so boring compared to being on the set of Dawn of the Dead.
The bikers raid every store in sight, including, apparently, Clowns R Us. In the film's silliest sequence by far, they pie and spray the zombies with seltzer water. Again, Romero wanted this movie to be funny.
At that point, I said, this is so nuts. What don't we have? We don't have a pie fight.
let's have a pie fight with the zombies, you know. We may use it, we may not.
But it's good for a laugh.
I've always found it a tad too much for me, and plenty of other people felt similarly.
I thought it was horrible.
Steven can't stand to see these clown supplies wasted and shoots at the bikers in anger. Great, now everyone's angry. No wonder that guy wants to check his blood pressure. That senseless biker is played by sound designer Tony Buba, who nearly went deaf recording all those motorcycles driving around indoors. The bikers get serious and kill 5 more zombies. One gets macheted in the head by Savini, another gets decapitated, and a few are shot, including this feller who belly flops into a fountain. Peter engages in a shootout that I think is filmed and edited quite poorly. It's way too disjointed to believe that all this action's taking place in the same space. He connects with 2 gunshots in between the lights going off, killing 2 of the bikers before retreating up a rope ladder into the air ducts. Steven also tries to hide above the fray, but the bikers find him in the elevator and shoot him in the shoulder. Ouch. Blades, Savini's character, gets a kill-out count when he stabs a zombie in the neck, but then Peter shoots him, and I'll count that as well, mostly due to the stunt fall that Savini did himself. Savini was a gymnast in high school and did a lot of the movie's stunts alongside his friend Tasso Stavrakis. Stavrakis also helped him with zombie makeup, and later would be the one who blew blood out of Kevin Bacon's neck in Friday the 13th. Savini's swan dive death ball almost ended in disaster. Dude nearly missed the crash pads he was supposed to fall onto. Whew. The bikers begin to retreat and Peter shoots 2 of them on their way out, but they're both ultimately done in by zombies along with 3 other bikers. These victims include blood pressure test guy, who inexplicably tries to use the machine up until the very end. They also include a guy named Sledge, played by Tasso Stavrakis. These kills are Savini's gore showcase, utilizing real guts from a slaughterhouse. Of course, only you patrons are seeing the most explicit stuff, cause not everyone can sit there and watch this sick shit, but you can, can't ya, you sick fucks. Real nasty stuff. Unfortunately, the zombies don't restrict their diet to bikers. They also attack and bite into Steven as he's trying to climb back into the elevator shaft. He manages to shoot 2 zombies during their feast, but the damage is way too done. That dude's a goner for show. Peter gets back to the apartment, and he and Fran wait to see if Steven will return too. While they do, the film's infamous gong sequence plays, showing the zombies retaking the mall as the bouncing tune by Herbert Chappell plays. It's during this montage that Steven is revealed to have died in the elevator. He's now a zombie, with top-tier zombie acting from David MG. He had a blast coming up with his limp and deciding his gun would be stuck on his finger, and Romero was a huge fan of the end result.
His body language, it's really worthy of Lon Chaney.
Zombie Steven instinctively returns to the access door, followed by a bunch of his new friends, including the one who took Roger's gun. By muscle memory, he tears down the facade of a wall they built, and when Peter hears this, he tells Fran to leave, but says he doesn't want to go with her. He'll buy her some time though by sniping Zombie Steven in the head. What a blood splatter! Zombie Steven's followed in by a bunch of other zombies, the frontmost of which is played by the film's weapons coordinator, Clayton Hill. Peter sends Fran out to the chopper and retreats into a back room to kill himself with a Derringer, and in Romero's original ending, he did. And then Fran did too, by sticking her head in the helicopter blades. But despite rumors and false memories, that ending was never filmed. Savini did make a cast of Galen Ross's head for the scene, but it was repurposed to be the exploding head in the Project Raid. Romero changed the script after feedback from the cast and crew.
I thought a particularly strong ending. At the same time, I could understand why they thought that would be too difficult.
Oh, I'm sure I was always saying, you can't kill everybody, you can't do it.
His less nihilistic ending begins with Peter shooting a zombie in the head. Overly heroic music plays as Peter makes his way to the rooftop. Fran watches as he emerges and fights off zombies with a pump kick, although he's unable to hold on to his sniper rifle. Gun Zombie always knows when to make a good trade. Finally, Peter makes his way into the helicopter.
How much fuel do we have?
Not much.
All right.
The movie ends with the fate of our heroes ambiguous, but that's better than what Ben got, so I'll take it. Plus, the gong plays once more over the end credits, and everyone loves the gong. Seth Green balked it for the end of Robot Chicken. My counting finger hurts from pointing out all those zombies. Let's see the final summation. What? I thought we cleared this place out. Guys, we missed one! By my count, there were 143 kills in Dawn of the Dead, but I promise no two people are gonna count the same number here. I had 22 living dudes, 75 zombie dudes, a single living lady, 30 zombie ladies, 1 unknown human corpse, and 14 unknown zombies, giving us our first, 6-part pie chart. What a fucking mess. With a runtime of 127 minutes, that gave us a kill on average every 53.29 seconds. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to the 5 bikers we see getting torn apart in the mall. It's super disgusting, and an abrupt tonal change after all that clown shit. Definitely Savini flexing his skills. Dull Machete for lamest kill will be the post-hunt zombie deaths seen in the mall. And coolest corpse for my favorite zombie will go to Gun Zombie, though he had some seriously stiff competition. I just like that he pops up a few times throughout the movie and makes it all the way to the end, and that gun trade on the roof is hilarious. And that's it. Dawn of the Dead came out in 1978, and watching all this behind the scenes stuff only reinforces how sad I am that I'll never get to meet George Romero.
Who is this person who makes these horrible movies? It's this lovely, bright, sweet man that, yeah, you give 110% for, because you want to. He's one of the best people I've ever known.
We'll check out his Day of the Dead next Friday, after another extra episode on Sunday. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Hello, Dead Meat viewers. You're invited to watch an extra Kill Count this weekend.
That's amazing.
Please take a seat in the lobby where the film's characters are waiting.
The waiting rooms can get so boring.
They're not all very good.
Can you still play video games?
No, man, unfortunately I can't. So I just have sex with adult women.
But look, it's Tyler Labine from Tucker and Dale. He's a good guy.
I like that one. That one sounds good.
If you can successfully get through 20 minutes of subpar setup,
oh, this is gonna suck.
You'll be treated to a full hour of excitement and intrigue.
Talk about immersive.
Immersive? What the hell is wrong with you? That was real.
Really, this movie becomes much more enjoyable than you might expect at first.
This is the second time this force tried to kill me.
The characters grow on you, and the production design is out of this world.
Whoever did this is an artist.
How did they even build that upside down room?
Yeah, the craftsmanship in here is just terrifying.
Catch all the clues for yourself by watching Escape Room from 2019. And on Sunday, escape your troubles and tune in to Dead Meat for the Kill Count.
Now that sounds like a hell of a weekend.
Escape Room can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Dead Meat always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film. Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count. I want to thank some patrons like LK Bradley, Squill, Caleb Rucolet, Nyar Lathotep, Leon, and Brad Floria. Also thanks to Chelsea for being a good zombie. Like I said, this is one of my absolute favorite movies. I haven't seen it in forever, but I do remember liking Zack Snyder's remake. Not nearly as much, but I mean, come on. I'm sure I'll get to that eventually though, don't worry. Thanks everyone, be good people.